One of us. One of us. One of
Great showing. You guys suck and you cheated.
Oh, we're recording? I didn't know we were recording.
It is the biggest transfer or free agent signing in the history of the United States in any sport.
UFC 291. The main event was the battle for the BMF title, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Kenny, let's just go through, because the main card was absolutely fantastic. If you were a fan of guys getting knocked out or choked out, you picked the right card to watch. Which one was the best finish for you?
Oh, I mean, Gaethje's head kick to Poirier is something I think you'll see if you're a UFC fan for years to come. He feints, he throws the high head kick. Poirier goes night-night and goes, hey, where am I? What day is it, spaghetti? Sean, this is where you would enter the you got to knock the F out.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Got it.
Sean's never seen that movie. You can't do that.
I have seen that movie.
Yeah, after me and Charlie made you.
Hold on. I get crap for not drinking coffee, and you've never seen that movie.
I have seen that movie. I've seen it multiple times.
What's the name of that movie?
Who do you know here? Middle name.
Yeah, that was an incredible knockout, but that doesn't beat Derek Lewis.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't beat it. I mean, that big boy flying knee is awesome, but I will honestly say I thought the two submissions were probably the most exciting things of the night. The Darce choke, you've got to put yourself in a really bad position to get it, and when you get it, it's awesome. And then Kevin Holland hit the Darce choke. It was Bobby Green choking out Tony Ferguson, who should just leave. Bye, Tony.
Is that like 5 in a row for him that he's lost or something?
It's 6. I was gonna say that he was 12 and he had 12 fight win streak.
He tapped out with 9 seconds. Oh wait, actually, correction. He did not tap out. He passed out. The referee stopped it. 6 seconds left.
What a wuss. He couldn't wait 6 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, to me, the Derek Lewis knockout was the greatest because it was something that. Yeah, his balls was hot for sure.
Did you guys see the quote that got buried, by the way, because of the crowd noise?
No.
About his wife?
He told his wife, I'm going to butcher it. You know I'm coming home because I'm going to bust them up in the guts.
Oh, God.
God, I love Derek Lewis. He is freaking awesome. But yeah, when you have a 280-pound man just stand there and then just come running at you and connect a knee to somebody that I'm pretty sure is about 6'4", right on the chin. Like, that just defies physics. I thought that was the best one.
Jorge Masvidal knocking out Ben Askren, flying knee to start the match, but for fat guys.
Yeah, and then he just got on and wailed on him. Like, that was crazy. And honestly, I still think one of the best moves ever was Herb Dean laying
Herb Dean arguably had the best knockout of the night. Gaethje knocks out Poirier, and then Dean comes in with the people's
elbow out of nowhere. And we were sitting there, and as soon as it happened, like, I go, you could have had Poirier that he gets knocked the hell out, and then you could have had Herb Dean blow an elbow backwards while taking out Gaethje's knee all at the exact same time. It would have been the most epic finish in UFC history ever. But
hasn't he been criticized before for letting fights go too long, though? Like, I feel like now he's like, no, like, I'm not going to hold you out.
I'll get in on this. And I feel so bad for him because you don't really see it. And Charlie, I think, called it out almost as it happened. And then as you see the replays, you can see it. It was right where Poirier went down that he caught the sweat strip or that he had laying there and just feet went out from underneath him. It's like he stood on a banana peel. It was so funny. But honestly, the main event, or I'm sorry, not the main event, the co-main that did go to decision, Alex Pereira did not win that fight.
Not a chance.
Especially, I mean, it was close. I'll give it to him. I would agree split decision, but Jan definitely won that fight and should have easily won that fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. Yes, Cameron.
Is he the biggest hater to ever live? Like, he did nothing but fight Adesanya, like, in kickboxing, beat him twice. Adesanya goes over to MMA, so he comes over to MMA to come out to beat him, comes back, gets beat, and then he jumps up a weight class to beat the only other guy that's ever beat Izzy. Like, he just hates that man's entire life. All he wants to do is be better than him, apparently. And I respect the hatred.
I didn't even think about that.
That's a great point. Didn't put that together either.
The hater's gonna hate.
But yeah, and honestly, Kenny, we missed in the prelims. There was a guillotine chokeout. Roman Koplyov won by KO on a kick. Yep. And then there was a rear naked chokeout in the prelims as well. Like, of the 9 fights in the prelim, not the early, but the regular prelim and the main card, there was only 2 decisions.
Wow.
Which is incredible. And then even if you go to the early prelims, one was an armbar and one was a back elbow that we missed as well. So
here's a stupid question. On a night that has like 9 fights like that, what's the average of knockouts or tap outs?
It's not that high. It's got to be probably 50-50 is probably closer to average.
I would say more often than not, most of them go to decisions.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you had a couple. I mean, that BMF title, which to me is a joke, but whatever. I mean, Gaethje and Poirier, we're going to throw hands. I believe somebody said these hands are rated E for everyone, and that's what you were getting. That's what you were getting in that fight. So.
And then you have McGregor calling out Gaethje almost as soon as it ends when the man cannot test clean for a drug test. He still needs to fight Chandler, and honestly, he probably should be fighting Masvidal if Masvidal wins.
Chandler said something too, and what was funny is Poirier tweeted at him, "Shut up, bitch." And I'm like,
Yeah. Chandler's got some work. I love the boy. He's from here.
That lightweight division it's the best division in the sport.
Yeah, by far.
So you said the BMF belt is kind of a joke, and I think I saw this thrown out I think it may have been by one of the CBS writers. I don't know which one. But they said something about maybe a way to fix it would be kind of to make it a real belt, but to do it at like catch weights, open division. Like we'll just do a catch weight and a lightweight can fight, a welterweight or whatever, and just kind of do it that way to kind of put a little more interest than, we don't have a name for this fight that we really, really want to make, so it's a BMF fight.
Well, I mean, they kind of... The one thing that, for me, that's stupid is the title of it. Bad motherfucker.
These are The Rock presents it?
No, he wasn't there.
He didn't. I was disappointed.
These guys are the baddest dudes on the planet. Anyway, right? Like, there's very few athletes... Actually, there's only one that I would say is a badder man than any of these guys, and he was one. It's Brock Lesnar.
I was going to say LeBron.
Come full circle.
No love for Tyson.
I mean, active in what they do.
Got it.
And they've already changed it so all the main events are 5 rounds anyway. So it seems kind of useless to me. That was kind of my point.
It would be interesting, though, if they found a way to... It would be really tough, but if they found a way to put a title on the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Like, you're obviously not going to be able to get a heavyweight, you're not going to be able to get Jones down into, like, the middleweights. That would be tough to do, but it'd be nice to have a physical title that, hey, this guy is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, which I guess is technically what the BMF really is, but I don't believe that Gaethje is the best fighter in the world. He's pound-for-pound, he's not.
Go back old school, fully open, like UFC 1. Have a 400-pound dude fight a 110-pound dude. Just let him go at it.
I can dig it.
All right, so let's go to the next crazy thing. We all thought this would be done, hopefully someday soon, but apparently it's not. college football realignment is back, and it probably is going to be the biggest realignment that the sport actually has, maybe since you had the teams go from the Big 12 to the Big 10 and the SEC. But right now, the biggest changes seem to be coming with the Pac-12 losing. Rumors have anywhere from 2 to 5 teams going to the Big 10 and the Big 12. Big 12 is probably taking the vast majority of them, but now it sounds like Utah is going to be getting in and going to the Big 10. There are still rumors that Oregon and Washington could be going to the Big 10. Arizona and Arizona State going to Big 12 with Colorado. And then the one that just keeps remaining quiet is the ACC, that apparently the Florida State is going to be leaving the ACC. There's rumors that they go to the Big 10, which would be very interesting. The Big 10 will cover literally coast to coast. I don't know. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. There needs to be something to come in and change this.
I mean, how are they even going to deal with that wild of a travel swing? Like, college football, I get, is a big machine at this point, but I also still feel like it's half-assed organized. I mean, they don't even tell you game times until, a couple weeks out because they want to be able to flex everything. So now you're trying to flex going all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast. Like, it just seems like it's going to be a nightmare, at least in the early going logistically. I know no one really cares about that, but
you have Oregon leaving the Pac and going to Big Ten, and then you have Florida State potentially jumping ship as well. What's the point anymore? Like I don't understand why even have conferences if you're going to have the Big Ten travel coast to coast. It's just dumb.
I think honestly, what would be really interesting, and I don't know how it gets done, but you get a streaming service, like let's just use Apple, that just has, hey, you know what? We're going to do our own college football. And this is how we're going to broadcast, and this is what we're going to do, and it's all going to be regionally. And you take the money that the SEC gets, the money that the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12, and even the Big 12, and you just say, we're going to split it all. Every conference is going to get the same amount of money, and all the revenue gets split based on playoffs. And then you do it regionally. It'll never happen, but you can't have USC traveling to Rutgers. I mean,
right.
Let alone football. Football and basketball are going to be fine because they're going to get the private flights. But what about the Olympic sports? What about even baseball to an extent? Like, this is going to be ridiculous. And then you throw in women's sports that don't get funded. It's awful. It truly is. And you're going to have them anyways doing divisions. You're going to have the Big Ten that's going to have a West Coast division. Like, it's called the Pac-12.
That's dumb.
I think the worst thing that's happened in college realignment is the 2 LA schools going to the Big Ten. You're right. It doesn't make sense. I'm okay with Colorado moving back to the Big 12. I'm okay with the Big 12 having 16 schools. But you said the Big Ten's going to reach coast to coast. If the Big 12 announces Arizona is in the conference tomorrow, they will be coast to coast because they will now contain UFC or UCF, excuse me.
Oh, they're going to go to the Octagon.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Who else is it? Is it BYU? Yeah, and BYU. Arizona, stretching already to the West Coast, basically. Just makes me happy that my school got into the SEC and we're not moving. But Colorado shouldn't have moved the needle like this, right? Like, the domino effect Colorado has had in both realignments has been insane. The Big 12 does not collapse in 2012 if Colorado doesn't first leave. And everybody wants to put blame on A&M and Mizzou. But it was Colorado that caused all of this. And now you have the Big 12 bringing them back in. They're 1-11. Like, they're not a good football program, and Deion is not going to turn this ship around miraculously.
But Deion's what's going to draw the ratings and draw the cash immediately, and then you have all the teams wanting to jump in on it.
Oh, yeah. Colorado versus UCF in a fucking September night game is not going to outdo
Colorado. I just saw before we got on to record Colorado versus TCU. was being broadcast on Fox Sports. Like, I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm watching the sporting game right now, and I've seen it since we started recording. Like, that is what they're promoting because it's Dion. That's all it's there for, is everybody wants to see Dion.
What an awful matchup.
Is he even going to be there? Isn't he having another surgery? Isn't he about to lose a foot?
Yeah, I think he's getting his third leg chopped off at this point.
Excuse me?
He's had like, what, 8 toes that are gone or something like that. Like, I feel bad for the man. It's unfortunate, but good Lord. Yeah. I don't know, Kenny, it's crazy. And I like that Mizzou plays in the SEC, and don't get me wrong, but overall,
So
like,
help me
I
God,
love,
if you say move back to the Big 12.
No, I'm not. I don't want to move back to the Big 12. I think overall for college sports, it needs to go regional. It has to. Like, you can take the top 100 programs or the 120 or whatever it becomes, and you just say, okay, cool. We're going to have the North, the Midwest, the South, the West, and the East. And you have it that way. And you can still cross over just like you do in the NFL or any other major sport. But at a certain point, this is going to get ridiculous. I mean, Mizzou alone, for being an SEC team, last year we got almost 50 mil, and we barely operated in the black as an athletic department. That's crazy. And that's because of the travel that they have to do for all of the sports. It's because of all the recruiting money that they have to spend that's not NIL, that's the travel for the teams and the coaches and all that stuff. It's crazy.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, because my question would be, is what are the other athletic departments operating at? Is a Arkansas, a Florida operating in the green?
I think they said the SEC had 4 teams that operated in the red completely, and it was Vanderbilt operated red. I think Kentucky was red.
You'll never know Vanderbilt's because they're a private institution,
right? And I think that's what they were estimating that one. Kentucky, and I think one of the Mississippis, and then Missouri was, I think, may have been the first black that they were able to get. So, like, I don't know. The
athletic department still owes the University of Missouri money, which is factored into that. So I would imagine they start operating at a somewhat profit within the next 3 to 4 years.
Speaking of Mizzou athletics, are we ever going to invest in anything for the baseball team since we're in the SEC? Are we ever going to make an attempt to be one of the SEC baseball teams?
So the new coach basically has said that. He also brought back Jameson, which I thought was awesome, because the old DA forced him out and he became this guy's pitching coach. I don't know how to say his first name, so I don't want to butcher it. I think there's going to be some investment in baseball, but in reality, what separates us from the other programs is if you look at the programs that are really good at baseball in the SEC, they don't have a baseball team anywhere near them. Georgia, Missouri, they do not give a shit about baseball. It's the other schools.
But, okay, so back to college football, though. How does this affect the competitive landscape? We've kind of talked monetary. How does it affect it competitively? Can another conference compete with the SEC? Obviously not this next year, but 5 years, 10 years from now, due to these realignments? Is there a competitive advantage from doing this?
The SEC has one competitive advantage. It's in 2 time zones. Mm-hmm. The rest of them have shifted where they're going to be in all 4 time zones. Mm-hmm. It is going to be an extreme disadvantage for those conferences, I think. Because you can talk about ratings all you want, but nobody in LA is going to watch a 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock start from Rutgers with USC playing Rutgers at 11.
In the snow.
Yeah, in the snow.
I mean, I think, too, the other advantage that the SEC has, I do think sheer numbers will help it. I think you're going to have an opportunity where you get a team like USC, UCLA, Ohio State, Michigan that can compete because they're going to have the opportunity or greater opportunities to get in versus the SEC. But I truly believe that the SEC's recruiting territory is far superior than anywhere else in the country, because they do play in off seasons. Because what Texas plays spring football, I believe, at least at the high school level.
They all play spring football.
Yeah, all those southeastern schools play spring football, which makes a completely different advantage. And I think too, as you get further out west, you have the guys that'll come out of California that are good athletes, but really out west, a lot of their athletes go play basketball.
Cool. Any other final points for college football?
I can't wait for
NCAA 24.
Start soon enough.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get out of here. Cameron, where can everybody find us on the socials?
Yeah, you can follow our podcast network at BenchwarmerNet on Twitter. You can follow this show at Pod Ride the Pine on Twitter and at Pod_Ride the Pine on Instagram. We are now on YouTube. Find us, Ride the Pine Podcast, or at Ride the Pine Pod. We're putting out a lot of good shorts. A lot of our best bits are kind of making it out there. We're also going to be putting them out on Twitter and Instagram. If you're not following us on any of the three, I would highly recommend you do so. I think we put out a lot of good stuff. I think it's very funny. Like, subscribe. You could listen to this anywhere you want on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. I mean, we're blasting out everywhere for you guys to go ahead and find us. Leave some comments. Interact with us. We'll message you back most likely. We don't got anything better going on. We're just trying to get away from the kids.
That's pretty much what all this is about anyway. So, all right, guys. Good stuff. That was a good Jordan episode. That was us dropping 60 on the Pacers episode.
I got one more thing. We don't have to dive into this, but this is my last point. The stupidity that the best fans in baseball have about arguing that we did not get enough in return for what they traded. The freaking fan base can never be happy with the bullshit that the Cardinals do. You get 4 prospects that automatically go into your top 15 for 2 guys that aren't even going to be here next year, and you got to bitch about that because you didn't get everybody's number 1. They got to fucking stop. It's ridiculous. Sean, cut the
Maybe it's because those prospects don't ever pan out.
We almost made it an entire episode without bitching about the Cardinals. We were
I heard it on the radio.
Close.
I heard it on the radio on the way home that people were complaining about them. And I'm like, they got 4 prospects to refill. And we traded 2 guys that weren't going to be here next year. And we still have 2 more guys to trade tomorrow. 3 probably. But sweet Jesus.
Save it. I want you to go on a whole rant after the trade deadline.
Oh, I will.
Next week, so
there will be
we'll
one.
save it. A little shout out for next week. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Have a good night.
See ya.